The West Indies will kickstart their 2023 Futures Tour program with a two-test tour of Zimbabwe from February 4th to 16th. Before this, they will play a warm-up match against a team to be announced at a venue to be announced before the first test in Bulawayo on February 4th. Hello everyone and welcome to the Cricket Forum. I want to thank you for tuning in. In another week or so, the West Indies selectors will be announcing the squad that will be touring Zimbabwe to represent the West Indies. Scrolling across the bottom are the list of players that are contracted to T20 franchises during this time. The International League T20, the Bangladeshi Premier League, and the SA20 will all be taking place between January 6th and February 13th. Now, my biggest concern is the availability of the West Indies players. In July last year, when Cricket West Indies announced the retainer contract for its players, Cricket West Indies did not finalize discussion with some of these players, albeit they have commenced negotiations with the players, but the players did not sign. Cricket West Indies released the name of these players before the contract was signed. And so the players said, wait a minute. And to not have egg on their face, Cricket West Indies compromised and made them a verbal promise that they will not withhold any NOC. NOC means no objection certificates. And usually, when a contracted player or players want to play in a T20 franchise league, they would request a NOC from Cricket West Indies so that they get the all clearance to play in these leagues. Now, Cricket West Indies has promised verbally, that's my understanding, that Cricket West Indies have promised these players that they will not be withholding any no objection certificates. And scrolling across the bottom, as I said before, are the list of players who are contracted throughout this time. Now, I'm going to pick this team on the assumptions that all the players are fit and all the players are available. So in naming this team, there are some who are considered sure picks. Among these 11 players are 8 players, of which 6 of them will be batting in the top 6. But it's a squad that I'm naming. This is not the team. This is the 11 players in my mind who I think are sure pick. There's no doubt that Brathwaite and Chanda Paul will be there, barring injury, barring any mitigating circumstances. And I don't think there's a West Indian supporter who do not agree with Brathwaite and Chanda Paul. Someone pointed out in the comment section the other day that Brathwaite and Chanda Paul were the best opening pair in Australia for any test team for more than 10 years. I have not checked it myself, but it was pointed out in the comment section that the performances of Brathwaite and Chanda Paul was the outstanding performances as an opening pair in Australia for the past 10 years. Should that be correct? We should congratulate them. Congratulations. Now, I also have Blackwood in the team. Blackwood is no doubt the vice captain. And I think Blackwood will be in that squad. Now, There are some who think that he should not be there, but the reality is that he will be in the squad. Now, Bonner, despite the blow to his head in Australia, he still remains the West Indies batsman currently playing with the highest test average of 38.83. No other West Indian batsman currently playing has a higher test average than Nkrumah Bonner. The funny thing about it is that Blessing Muzarabani had a quadricep injury problem, and more than likely, Blessing Muzarabani will not be playing against the West Indies because he's probably not going to recover on time. With the pace of Blessings Muzarabani not in the Zimbabwe team, it is expected that Bonner is going to crack something. I also expect Blackwood to crack something. And these two will be in the West Indies team, test team, for the rest of the year. Because this is what usually happens. Blackwood is under pressure. So Blackwood is going to crack something. Bonner, there's no pace there to trouble him, so he's going to crack something. So Brathwaite, Chanderpaul, Blackwood, and Bonner. Thomas went to Australia on merit on the back of some fine performances in last year's regional four-day cricket. Now, Thomas' performance in Australia, it wasn't mind-blogging, it wasn't exceptional, but it was fair enough. And it being his only test match, he deserved another chance. Because he was one of the top performers in last year's regional four-day cricket. And he went to Australia on the back of some good form in our red ball game. He didn't disgrace himself. He did exceptionally well. But he did fair enough to merit his place in the squad. Da Silva continues to outperform all our keepers. And I think, as majority of you in the chat, it was a very close thing, but majority of you in the chat still gave Da Silva the edge. So Da Silva continues to have the confidence of this community. And I think Da Silva will continue to have the confidence of Cricket West Indies selectors. There's no doubt that Mayers should be there. Mayers scored a century against Bangladesh. Mayers got 8 wickets in a match against England. And he practically won that match for us against England. With Joseph's record of being the leading wicket taker in international cricket for 2022. And as I've been saying for about a year now, Joseph is the leader of this West Indies attack. I have no doubt in my mind that he is the leader of this attack. Now, Hope is a controversial one. I know that Hope have divided opinion in the West Indies about his selection and non-selection. And my good friend who wrote me a very passionate email about Hope and was saying, now I'm addressing the Hope issue, sir, and thank you for that email. Hope, at the time when Hope was dropped from the West Indies team, I believe that he should have been dropped. I think his performances were so poor. Not think they were. The data is there to show it. I believe at the time that others should get a chance, should get an opportunity. But with others like Brooks and Reefer getting an opportunity, and with Athanaze and Imlak failing to score a red ball century, I have to go back to Hope, who have done it, and pray and hope that Hope will deliver. Now, the selection of Athanaze and Imlak, or shall I say the non-selection of Athanaze and Imlak, a number of persons are going to say that there should be in the team. In deciding to pick my team, there's one criterion that Imlach and Athanaze did not fulfill, and that none of them have made a regional 4-day century. Athanaze have played over 36 innings, 20 matches, 36 innings. He has scored 750s, but he has yet to make a century in red ball cricket. And while Imlach only played 7 matches and batted 9 innings, he averages only 31. And at this time, I'm not prepared to give Imlach a chance. And that is why I blame Cricket West Indies. For there's no way, with a tour of Zimbabwe coming up, and you have to pick a team, you should have started the regional 4-day cricket from Tuesday. It not only gives you an opportunity to look at new players, but it gives those who are going to Zimbabwe valuable match practice before they go. But this is Cricket West Indies we're talking about. And so we do not expect them to be effective. But I'm going with hope. I'm going with hope because of a lot of anyone putting their name forward, putting their self forward. Brandon King, at 28 years old, a man with 3 regional first-class centuries and 12 50s with a top score of 194. Someone is saying that it was 194 not out. I have not checked it, but I knew it was 194. And his average of 34.84 put him 3rd among current batsmen in regional 4-day cricket. Only Brathwaite and Chanderpaul averages higher. And there's a long time that many of us believe that Brandon King should have been in the West Indies team. For me, he's my number 3. He is my number 3. And I think with King following Brathwaite and Chanderpaul, we have a solid top 3. I would love to see King in that squad. Gabriel, if he's fit, remains the consistently fastest bowler in the West Indies, with the exception of Alzarri Joseph. For his sure pace and the way he hit the pitch hard and the number of wickets that he got in the regional Super 50 and his performances for the West Indies over the year, Gabriel, for me, once he's fit. And for the last few occasions that I have seen Gabriel, he was fit. I was very impressed with him. So those are the 11 that I think will certainly be in the 15. Not all of this 11 will be the played 11 when the team assembled in Zimbabwe. Because as you see there, the team lacks bowlers. And as I have said earlier, only 6 of those 8 batsmen named will be playing in the team. Now, let's look at the other players that went to Australia. Now, Chase, I'm not pulling any punches here, and I have nothing against Ruston Chase. But I would have not selected Chase for the tour of Australia. He made a half century, but Chase statistics as a batsman of 26 should not get him into the West Indies team as a batsman. And we should all agree that Chase is not a frontline spinner. Chase is someone like Travis Head from Australia, who play in the team as a batsman, but if he's required to bowl anywhere between 8 to 10 overs in a day's play, and if he's going good on that day, he will bowl more. So Chase, to me, is neither a batsman or a bowler. He's what the English used to call a big spad cricketer. And so Chase is one of those that went to Australia. I look at Minley. Minley went to Australia and he pulled up after just 2 overs. Minley also pulled up in the Super 50. Minley had an injury in the Super 50. Cricket West Indies or the Jamaica Scorpion have not released the nature of that injury. What I know and what you know, is that Minley was injured in the Super 50 and he went to Australia and was injured after 2 overs. I would not take the chance to carry Minley to Zimbabwe. Mark you, in the first place, I would have carried Minley ahead of Philip to Australia. I hope I'm not confusing anyone. If I was selecting the squad for Australia, I would have carried Minley ahead of Philip. I don't think I would have carried either of them to Australia, but I would have carried Finley ahead of Phillips. Minley ahead of Phillips. I'm even confusing myself with Finley. But I would have carried Minley ahead of Philip. Now, Philip, I think he did reasonably well. He's in the same category as Thomas. Didn't disgrace himself, hold his own, but wasn't overexcited. Wasn't a great performance. Wasn't an exhilarating performance. But he held his own. And I think Philip deserved another chance. The biggest controversy, and all of you know that I will not be taking Roach to Zimbabwe. As I have said on many occasions, Roach does not perform well away from the Caribbean. And I think it is time that I have to be a butcher. It's time that I have to cut some players and let them loose for the future development of West Indies cricket. And so Roach and Brooks fall into that category. Holder certainly will be in my T20 squad. He will be in my T20 team. But at this time in his career, I think Holder should be given a prolonged break from Test cricket with the intention to send him into retirement from Test cricket. So Holder would not be in my team. Reefer and Seals are out. Seals because of injury and Reefer because he never quite lived up to the billing. And he was also injured in Australia. Furthermore, he has franchise contract and I think he should be allowed to make some money. So from those players that went to Australia, the only person on that list that will be making my team is Philip. Now, to look at the others that I'm going to select 3 from. The others that I have here are Moti, Hussain, Cornwell, Carrier, and Kemo Paul. Now, Moti played on a 1 test match for the West Indies. I think he bowled 16 overs, if my memory serves me right, 16 overs for 43 runs or thereabout. He did not take a wicket, but the great Shane Warne never took a wicket in his first test match. And for the continuity of West Indies cricket, for the spinners to get the confidence, I think that Moti should be given another chance. And my good friend who sent me that email and asked about Hussain, I think that I will only go with 1 left-arm spinner. And over the years, Moti have clearly outperformed Hussain in red ball cricket. And so I will have to go with Moti. If this was a white ball game, I would have gone with Hussain. But it's 2 tests. And so I am going with Moti. For over the years, as I said before, Moti have consistently outperformed Hussain in red ball cricket. The stats are there for everyone to check. You can check it. Rakeem Cornwell. have been contracted to play in the Bangladesh Premier League. And I will not trouble Raheem Cornwell. I will allow him to go and make some money. I heard on Raheem Cornwell do. And I think that Raheem Cornwell is someone that we should do a case study on. Why I'm saying this? When someone say to you or to I, if they should say it, that we are fat, or we are mager, or we head big, or we eye big, or we nose big, or something. When someone say those personal things to us, one person should say those things to us, we feel offended. And if we're not of strong character, we could feel down. In Raheem Cornwell case, at least 4 million people in the Caribbean criticize him for his weight and his size and are saying some very unfortunate things about the young man. But time after time, despite those challenges, Raheem Cornwell showed fortitudes and he showed strength of character, and he turned up at cricket matches and he performed time and time again, despite the psychological war that is raged on the gentleman. Desmond Haynes and Jimmy Adams in an interview said Raheem Cornwell was overweight. But yet still, although they told the whole world that Raheem Cornwell made a double century in a T20 match a few days after that, whether it's a bush league, whether it's a pig pen league, whatsoever the cricket was, a double century is a double century. And so let us give Raheem Cornwell a break. Even if you do not want to select him in your test team, even if you don't think he should be playing T20 or ODI cricket for the West Indies, give him a break. Stop criticizing personally. Send some words of motivation to him. He has a very strong character. I don't know if I could take it. I would not have him in my squad for Zimbabwe. I will allow him to go to the BPL to make some money. I'm very interested in Carrier because while I see Motti as a more of a controlling bowler, one who can control one end for you with his slow left-arm orthodox spin, I see Carrier as more of an attacking bowler. And I'm very interested in Carrier. And Carrier is one that I considered long and hard about whether I should include him in the team or not. The next person that should be considered is Keemo Paul. Keemo Paul, in last year's regional 4-day cricket, was the leading pace bowler. He took 20 wickets at an average of 22.8 with a strike rate of 57. And I've always said and wonder if Cricket West Indies selectors really are students of the game. How many times you heard me say that? Unless Keemo Paul decided not to tour Australia, Keemo Paul should have been in that squad to Australia. And that is my belief. And that is probably why I am leaving him out of the team, out of the squad for Zimbabwe. I think maybe he's not ready to play Test cricket as yet. Those are just my thoughts. Because if that was not the case, why the leading pace bowler in your regional 4-day cricket was not in your red ball squad? 20 wickets at 22.8 apiece at a strike rate of 57. He should have been in your test squad unless he declined. So I am of the opinion that Kemo Paul have declined. Now I'm going to go to left field. And these are two players that I'm looking on in left field. Mackenzie Clark is there solely on the recommendation of Ambrose and Walsh because of his pace. He has no record to show that he has the quality. There's no record. The quality is perceived. But if Clive Lyde went with the record of Michael Olding, he would not have taken him to Australia. Brian Lara plucked Fidel Edwards out of nowhere. Just recently, Ben Stokes plucked Riyad Ahmed out of nowhere, and he won the third test in Pakistan for England. And you, my friends, can tell me many stories of players who were plucked out of nowhere, have been never heard of before, and have turned out to be good test cricketers. Most of them usually end up failing, but there are those who are some very good stories. And so I have Mackenzie Clark there. The other person that I'm going with is Colin Archibald. One, because of his outstanding performances in the 9 matches that he have played so far in regional 4-day cricket. And his stats are there on the screen. He also has a century as a left-arm medium pacer with 22 wickets from 9 matches, averaging 28.86 with an economy of 3.45. Colin Archibald has that left-arm pace variety to the West Indies squad. And I've shown with the bat that he's capable of getting runs. He have done something that Atanase and Emlak have not done. He have scored a century in regional 4-day cricket. It was in last year that he did it also. So it was not long ago. It means then that he's improving. I'm not necessarily carrying him for his batting, but his batting tipped his selection. So I'm going with him for his left arm pace, which adds variety to the already seamers who are right-handers. So my squad for Zimbabwe, and I hope the West Indies selectors select this squad for Zimbabwe: Brathwaite, Chanderpaul, Blackwood, Bonner, Thomas, Da Silva, Mayers, Joseph, Hope, King, Gabriel, Moti, Philip, Colin Archibald, to lend variety to the attack with his left arm fast medium bowling, and Mackenzie Clark, the young tearaway fast bowler, to be in the squad. Those are my 15 for Zimbabwe. Let's see what Cricket West Indies selectors come up with. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Please slash a like on the video, share and subscribe. Click on the link in the video description and purchase Soulmade cricket shoes. Thank you everyone. Take care and one love.